Baldur's Gate 3 has been out there for a while, right? They've been working it up and fixing it up for a long time. It took a lot of passion and work, and it paid off. Like, so far, I'm feeling no... I don't feel like there's a weak area in Baldur's Gate. Because, like, everything they tried to offer was great. It's not like they tried to introduce some weird mechanic that didn't work out. Like, Final Fantasy 16 ultimately offered me fast-paced action RPG combat, smooth experience, cinematic quality cutscenes, incredible characters with acting to match, and a open area world filled with content, right? And surprises. For me, Final Fantasy 16 got 4 out of 5. They were only fucking up in one spot. And luckily, I feel like Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth is making up for that. That one might actually be perfect just visually, right? But Baldur's Gate, everything Baldur's Gate said that they were offering has been top quality. I love the shit out of Final Fantasy, and I love Final Fantasy 16, but honestly, I would say Baldur's Gate 3 should get Game of the Year. I'm sorry. Fuck. And I love Final Fantasy 16. That's how much I also equally love Baldur's Gate. And trying my best not to be biased here. Right? And it's just that one, it was just that one area with 16. If that was more what we were seeing in Rebirth, it would have been perfect. It would have been a perfect fucking game, but it's not. Just because of that one area. Yeah, and Baldur's Gate 3, yeah, everything they wanted to offer is great. Start to finish. And I'm almost done. Like, it's just been perfect. I honestly think it should get it. I have to play everything else, though. Well, I haven't played everything else, but that's where my vote is going, is Baldur's Gate 3. If some studio drop... Oh, my bad. Yeah, I don't ever doubt the money put in Final Fantasy games. People say Act 3 is weak. But it's also weak in Divinity, Original Souls, Sins 2. Well, it's not... Let me finish. It's easily Game of the Year. I mean, look past any bias and you know it's more a complete RPG. They did a great job. Actually, that was one of the other areas with 16. With the combat involvement and interactions with enemies, I see what they were doing with the RPG half when it came to abilities and how they react to enemies and enemy attacks. That was perfect. Accessories were perfect. Weapons and armor pissed me off in Final Fantasy 16. They could have... It's like everything else, they put 10 out of 10 effort. The world map and having surprises, I would throw like a 6 out of 10 effort. Right? Not bad, but not good. And then when it came to weapons and accessories, got a 10 out of 10. Weapons and armor was like a 2. Because they could have done something so fucking simple with weapons and armor that made using different weapon sets so much better. Like I said, I was excited when I got Benedicta's wind sword, right? And I was like, okay, cool. I got it. But it does nothing. It's just a really good sword. And I'm like, why? How come they didn't say something like, if you use a Garuda-based attack, you get some weird special wind ability you can't get anywhere else other than using this sword? Because then they could have crafted further into that fucking blade and was like, okay, this blade is weaker than your Ultima weapon, but guess what? Your Ultima weapon don't do what this do, right? And then it could have been a simple fucking effect, too. Like, it didn't have to be crazy. But it could have been something unique, and they didn't do it. So you just went through that game with weapons and armor that you just got rid of, and that's probably one of my biggest pet peeves for an RPG, is like, don't give me a weapon that I'm gonna throw away an hour later. Give me something else to do with it. Because like, even with Baldur's Gate, I'll find a sword that I'll throw away an hour later. But guess what? I can also throw that sword at an enemy. I can also stick it in their pack and slow them down. right? I could put it in their way. I could cast light on the sword and have it be a light source and throw it at an enemy and it lights up the area. That's what I wanted, right? And we've been seeing Square Enix do that better. Like Final Fantasy VII Remake was perfect because every weapon you got for your allies, you could power up and go back between it because your Buster Sword made you all around. Your Mage Masher, just because I don't remember the name, made you like a magic tank. It was perfect. And I'm like, 16, you should have did better there. That's also definitely one of my areas that pissed me off. Baldur's Gate doesn't have that fucking problem. Because everything in there is useful one way or another if you know how you're building your character. And some stuff is weaker on purpose. Because they know it would be too strong if they made it a little too out there. And I'm like, fuck. Unlike a lot of AAA RPGs, you don't have that kind of replay value. Not at all. And it's cool because Final Fantasy 16 actually has a lot of replay value. It does. But armor and weapon would have made it so much better. 174 hours of situational cutscenes and dialogue in Baldur's Gate 3. It's funny because some people will complain about that shit in other games, and I'm like, why? It's a cutscene. Just watch it. Right? You can skip it. It's like, especially coming from older RPG fans, that shit will confuse me. It's like you're willing to play a game where the opening is an hour of you reading text, but you have a problem sitting there for 10 minutes watching a story. You could still skip through it. And actually, how many hours do I have on Baldur's Gate 3 right now? I have 82 hours. Final Fantasy 16, I have 81? 91. So I'm catching up to my times there. And that's how much I loved Final Fantasy 16. But I'm still like, nah, Baldur's Gate takes the cake. It should take it.